Today we'll be making homemade hamburgers on the Big Green Egg. Stay tuned.
Do it, pro it!
So to make this burger, first you need of course ground beef. I like to go with an 80-20. That would be ground chuck. If I was grinding it myself, I would do half chuck, maybe 3/4 chuck, and then something better like sirloin or ribeye or something like that. But if you're going to buy meat, chuck is what you want to go with. Ground chuck or something 80-20, because the burger you don't want it to dry out. So with the meat, just in a large mixing bowl, I like to mix Worcestershire sauce, a little bit of panko breadcrumbs, an egg. I like to add some garlic. I like to add a little bit of onion. And then for me, I like to add a couple of these Thai chilies. They're small, but they definitely pack a heavy punch. So this will be an optional ingredient if you like it a little bit hot, but you could also do bell pepper, jalapeno. You could really cater it to however hot you want it to be. And then cracked black pepper. And not salt. Do not mix salt with your meat. So I'll be adding a Dax no salt steakhouse seasoning, thinking that, hey, if it's good for steak, it's probably good for ground beef as well. And I had it in the pantry. So the reason you don't want to add salt to your ground beef is that if you mix the salt in with the ground beef, it will be all the way throughout your burger. And while it's cooking, that salt will suck the juice out of your burger. So you only want to salt the outside of your burger. It's just a pro tip. I highly recommend not salting the inside of your burger. For toppings, we will do a little bit of onion. We'll also do some tomato, avocado, lettuce. This is actually from our garden. I might do another video on how to grow lettuce because I've had really good success this year with lettuce. Pickles, red onions, Cuban style mustard. Any mustard, that's really just our favorite. And then we have some Gouda cheese that isn't really your traditional slice, but we had it in the freezer, so we're going to try to do it. And then I have some nice soft brioche buns. Let's see, these are French hamburger buns made from scratch here daily at Publix. Catherine was at the grocery store today and picked these up. And now on to optional ingredients. So we'll need the bowl. Also optional but not required is a just food processor. It makes it really, really easy to dice up your onions and your garlic and everything, and I'll show that here. And then not optional for me, but for some people, a nice red wine always goes very well with cooking. So cheers. To get started here, I have my large mixing bowl, my ground beef. I've moved all of the fresh ingredients over because I don't want to cross-contaminate, but everything here will be cooked, so it's okay. Just go ahead for space purposes to get this ground beef package off of the counter. I recommend first things first, getting it in the bowl. Same thing here with your egg. Go ahead and get your egg in there. Always got to compost, so eggshells make excellent compost. I'll leave that out. Alright, so we've got that. Now I've got my food processor here. I'm going to switch sides. And I'm going to grab my cutting board. So what I'm going to put in here is I want to do a puree. And I'm going to make a puree that is easy to blend with the meat. So this is where I said the food processor is optional. You could here chop all of this finely. You don't have to have a food processor. It's just so much easier to use a food processor. So I'm going to take my cloves of garlic, put them on the board, hit them once with a knife. That'll pop the skin right off. And then you could throw it in the garbage disposal or you could compost it. I'll pull it out of the sink and compost it when I'm done. So just pop these guys open real quick. Alright, I'll grab my chilies. Really, these are going to get processed up. All you need to do is cut the woody stems off or anything like that. Cut those off. Then reach over here, I'll grab my onion. So I want to use the onion as well as a topping for the burger. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to isolate the parts of the onion that would be good on a burger. I can slice this into really nice slices for a burger. So I'm going to save that over here with my fresh ingredients. And then these parts are what I'm going to use in this blend. Just take that little floury end off there. Processor will do most of the work for us, but we want to at least take some of these. Now, I'll add some more Worcestershire sauce into the meat blend, but I'm going to add a little bit here. The main reason here is that I want to give it something to kind of blend into, which will help me pour it out. And then I also, just for taste, to help it cook evenly, I'm just going to add a little bit of olive oil. If I was measuring that, I would say a teaspoon to a tablespoon. I mean, you're not adding a large amount of oil, just enough to kind of help it blend. And I love olive oil, so now put this in. Chop and blend it up. That looks good. So this is going into the meat, so we're not really looking for anything too specific here. If you can see, this is almost just a rough chop. So this is what I was saying, you don't need to process this into a puree, so you could absolutely rough chop this just on your cutting board if you don't have a food processor. But that's really all we're looking for, is the garlic to be nice and broken up, the onion to be nice and broken up, in the chilies. So we'll bring this back, we'll add it. I don't like to waste, so let's get all that good, yummy stuff. Alright, so for counter space, food processor will move over here. Alright, so now I will add a little more Worcestershire sauce just because I like Worcestershire sauce a lot. I will need to add some of the panko breadcrumbs still. And I mean, guys, if you're looking for exact measurements, I'm not the guy for you, because I do not measure anything. I just cook off instinct, what I've cooked before, what I liked, and this is all seasoned to taste, really. Like I said, make sure you use the Dax no salt seasoning or some no salt seasoning. Even if you just want to put chili powder, paprika, garlic powder, onion powder, do not put salt in your burger at this point. You want to only salt the outside of your burger. But none of these seasonings have enough cracked black peppercorn for me, so I will add some more of that. I love black pepper. And then there you have it. We'll start mixing. And the egg and the breadcrumbs will really help to keep our burger together. As the egg cooks, it'll stop it from falling apart on the grill. The breadcrumbs, I've found, kind of help the burger retain some of that, juice and fat in there. It kind of soaks up into the breadcrumbs. So both of those are just things that I really like adding. It's really kind of akin to what you would put in a meatloaf. So if you were making meatloaf, you would put maybe more egg and more breadcrumb and breadcrumbs on top. But kind of for the same reason a meatloaf likes it, is it gives it a good form. I like to do the same thing on my burgers because it kind of helps the burger stay together on the grill, especially when you're using a fatty meat like, chuck. Alright, so get that done. We'll spit it out here. Then we'll just start taking our burger and we will start making patties. So what I like to do is first form the patty into a nice ball and then start to flatten it, keeping its form. And put it down, and I take my finger and put a hole directly through the middle. So what that does is helps the patty from not shrinking up and turning into like a ball. It helps it stay flat. And just, I don't know, I kind of stole it from Costco. They do it. So that's about the size that I would make for Catherine. That's probably a 1/4 pound burger, maybe a 1/3 pound. For me, I'd go a little bit bigger, make a little bit bigger burger. Same thing. Alright, so I've got the egg here, the large egg, big green egg. I have the bottom open completely, have the top open completely, and I have the sous chef, who loves grilling with me. So I've got this in my expander. I've got it on the lowest setting here, and I'm going to take 2 blocks here, and what I'm using are just these fire starter blocks. They work great. And I grilled on this last night, but I've got a good amount of charcoal left. I'm only going to cook 2 burgers, so I'm going to go ahead and light her up. So I'm actually putting them here for a reason on one side. So one option you could do is that you could put in the low section here my half moon deflector. Instead of doing that, I'm actually just going to start the fire on this side, and I'm going to let the fire get really hot here, and I'll have kind of a cold zone here. It's just easier, but really up to you. One way I like to do it is to grill them here and then move them over, because I like to sear them really, really hot and then take them to like a medium rare, medium on a cold zone, but that's really optional. So we'll let this guy get started, and then we'll come back to cooking. Our first move on these burgers is going to be, in just a couple minutes, we're going to go and just rotate them. We're not flipping them, we're just rotating. What that's going to do is help you cook your burger more evenly all the way through. You can see they're cracking a little bit, but this will help to kind of bring everything in together. We can do a little bit of touch up here. We're still early. But just going to rotate them a little bit, and that's going to help them cook more evenly throughout the whole burger and also give it some nice grill marks. Alright, so we've gone about 3 or 4 minutes after we flip, maybe 2 to 3 minutes before we rotate, sorry. So now I'm going to do the first flip. And look at that. Nice crust there. They are coming together very, very nicely. Nice double way char just on the outside. These are going to be delicious. Alright, so we're going to take a look here and we're going to see what we're looking like on the bottom. Still a little bit to be desired, so let it go back on there. What about this guy? He's looking a little bit hotter on that side, so we'll move him. This is where having that cold spot comes in. This is the burger for Catherine. You see it's done on both sides. The little bit bigger one for me, I want to get it a little bit hotter, so I'm going to go ahead and put it down there, and we'll just let that go for a minute or 2 more. So I skipped the part, I toasted the buns, but if you've made it this far in the recipe, you should be able to toast your buns on the grill. The only tip I have is that I toast both sides, the outside and the inside. It makes the outside nice and crispy. You can kind of see it's got a nice little crisp to it. It's more surface area that's toasted if you toast the inside and the outside. So we're going to start assembling these. I've added our Gouda cheese. First we have Catherine's hamburger, then we have my hamburger. First things first to go on is the tomato slice. And actually, I know my wife, and that is a very large tomato slice, so I'm going to give her a little bit of it. Take the avocado. I like to put the avocado on top. And this is really an optional ingredient. We love avocado. So we basically eat it any way we can. We buy the bulk size avocado bags from Costco. Now, here comes kind of the optional to taste ingredients. Like a little bit of pickles on mine. Not too much, but just a couple pickles. They give a good little bite to it. They give a little bite. The meat is very rich. The avocado is rich as well. So just putting a little bit of pickle on there is nice. And personally, this is definitely to taste. We love pickled red onions. So these are homemade pickled red onions. I think we'll probably make a video about how to make your own pickles because it's so easy. You just buy vegetables from the grocery store and pickle them. It's awesome. Then we will just take a little bit of our Cuban mustard. And there you have it. Homemade burger on the big green egg. This has been Do It Pruitt, signing off.